If you're looking for an NBA breakdown, you came to the right place. It's Friday, November 14th. I'm Josh Engleman, and we've got a lot of NBA games to cover. We're going to hit each one of them. DraftKings and FanDuel. I've got the Boom Bust tool pulled up at Stokastic.com. We're going to go through all of it. But first and foremost, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Please, everybody, follow me on Twitter. Would help me out a ton. That's going to be at Josh Engleman. We have a lot to talk about. NBA Cup, 8 games on DraftKings, 9 games on FanDuel. And we're starting it off with a game that realistically should have looked a lot better than it does today from a basketball standpoint. And that's because there's obviously no Tyler Hero for Miami, no Bam Adebayo, but there's no Jalen Brunson on the opposite side either. Expectation is going to be Miles McBride stepping into that starting spot. In his typical starts, he plays north of 30 minutes. I think anywhere from 28 to 32 makes some sense. They do have a little bit more depth now, and a different coach. 38% ownership to Karl Anthony Towns, 38% optimal. Very clearly one of the best plays of the slate. Clearly the best play in this game. I don't think anybody's surprised to hear that. When you take Jalen Brunson off the floor here, everything gets more offensive for Karl Anthony Towns. And this matchup is better for Towns. One, the Heat are playing at an ultra fast pace this year. And two, that's less shots for Brunson to take and more for Towns to take. So no surprises to see this right now. 9,400 power forward only. Towns is a huge priority for today. Miles McBride's the next guy up. He's 20% owned, 20% optimal. He's priced like he's going to play his normal minutes. And as of right now, the expectation is that he's going to start. This is as easy as it gets. Not extreme value here because he's not the biggest per minute guy in the world, but clearly stepping into a bigger role, much easier to get to. And then there's just some scattered ownership for Davion Mitchell, Josh Hart, Anunoby. I think Norm Powell's kind of interesting today. 7,100 shooting guard only. You just need him to go crazy scoring, but he's shooting more than anybody else on the Heat, so why not? Jaquez is tough. He's been playing incredible. Guard forward eligibility, but 7,400 off the bench is a little tricky. No real priorities outside of this one, but Karl Anthony Towns is the guy. It's essentially the same story on FanDuel, but this one looks more like what you would expect it to look like. Towns breaking away, MPE, 50% owned, get it. We all understand it. This is where McBride's pulling more ownership. 40% here, point guard, shooting guard eligible, 4,400. And it's just because of the positional nature of FanDuel. You are forced to have 200% of point guard and 200 of shooting guard. And that naturally just pulls Miles McBride up, especially because there's only one center spot. So you're seeing him get disproportionate ownership on FanDuel compared to DraftKings. Makes total sense. The rest of it is all pretty much the same story. The Brooklyn Nets are 14-point dogs in Orlando. Low total. Brooklyn's offense is awful. Orlando is all defense. But Orlando does not have Paolo Banchero for this one, and that actually allows us to like this game, because we would not be all that interested in Orlando if Paolo were here, because we'd have a hard time sifting through these guys. Now, we're freeing up like 35 minutes and 28% usage or something like that. 5,100 for Jalen Suggs is standing out. He's starting to get more minutes. That price tag doesn't represent it. And there's no Paolo, so 45% owned, 36% optimal right now, so a little bit of negative leverage, but still a clear priority play for the day. Not nearly as much ownership as I expected, but it's obvious that everything looks better for Desmond Bane and Franz Wagner. Just more touches, more everything. They'll be more involved. Anthony Black has a little bit of value. Sure, totally fine. 4,700, grabs a couple extra minutes because of this. The expectation will be Tristan da Silva stepping into the starting lineup in place of Paolo Banchero. Small forward, power forward eligible, 4,500. Not popping in our data right now. Keep an eye on it throughout the day. As we get more information, maybe that minutes projection goes up a hair and we start to feel a little bit better about his value. For Brooklyn, it's still no Cam Thomas, and this is a dreadful spot. They aren't good on offense. They're in a terrible matchup, and it's the NBA Cup. So Orlando cares a little bit more about really eviscerating Brooklyn. So the highest owned guy you see for the Nets is the Igor Demon, and he is sitting at 4,400 and he's 3% owned. If I were going to get to anyone from Brooklyn, it's Igor Demon, it's Noah Clowney, or it's Michael Porter Jr. My expectation, I have very little of all of it, and I'd prefer to have none of it. Now, this is where it's popping. FanDuel, Desmond Bane, 40% owned. Franz Wagner, 40% owned. Jalen Suggs, 40% owned. FanDuel is where you get the consolidation on good players, and that's why we're seeing it here. The roster construction changes the way ownership works. 6,400 for Bane with no Paolo, underpriced. 7,900 for Franz Wagner, a 30% usage guy without Paolo. Yeah, he's 40% owned here. And then Suggs at 5,400 is still a really nice value. I'm happy to get to all of the three main dudes for Orlando without Paolo Banchero. And much like on the DraftKings side, I'd prefer to stay as far away from possible from this Brooklyn team. All right, Sixers and Pistons. As of right now, Pistons 5.5 point favorites. I'm not going to spend much time here, and there's a very big reason. At least on the Philly side, no Joel Embiid, Jared McCain with the G League team, by the way. So Andre Drummond getting the start, played north of 30 minutes the last two, 5,700. Probably a little underpriced for him playing that many minutes, but he is not the same guy he used to be. That said, 20% owned makes perfect sense for this matchup. After that, nothing else is interesting on Philly. Obviously, if you want to play Tyrese Maxey, please feel free to do so. Guy is awesome. Can score 40 real points today and be essential. That's the only guy I'm going to mention for Philly, other than Drummond. I can't mention anything for Detroit. Cade Cunningham is questionable. Isaiah Stewart is questionable. Jalen Duren is questionable. Asar Thompson is still out. Tobias Harris is still out. So is Sasser. So is Ivy. We need those Q tags. Without that information, what we do here is going to change dramatically. If they're all out, it's the Danish Jenkins experience, and it's Ron Holland again a ton, and it's Javonte Green. For right now, it's nothing. Because if they're all in, it's not that interesting of a spot other than Cade if you want to do it. If they're all out, like, sure. Now, like, Beef Stew is getting a little bit of love. He's 5,600. If he's in, he's 19% owned. What if Beef Stew is in and Jalen Duren is out? Then Beef Stewart's he's gonna look a lot better. What if Stew's out but Duren is in? Well, then Jalen Duren is gonna look a lot better. But I don't know which one of those combinations is gonna happen. Right now, we're getting a little bit of love to Stewart and Duren, assuming they're both in. We just need to see it. Drummond's a bit more popular on the FanDuel side. He jumps up to 37% owned. You still get 30% ownership to Isaiah Stewart. We already established the caveat. Jalen Duren getting a little bit of love. And then you see that little bit more for Maxey and Cade. Again, it's easier to get pay-ups on FanDuel than it is on DraftKings. But this one is a TBD. We need more info. Watch the deeper dive at 5 p.m. later tonight on this channel. Live before lock at 6. We'll cover all of it. Portland Trailblazers, Houston Rockets. We're in Houston. They're 8.5 point favorites. Tough game. These teams are very much defensive in nature and not offensive in nature. But I do think there's some decent value in Reed Shepherd at 4,200, starting to look a little bit better. I think we'll probably create more value throughout the day and he'll just naturally come down. Jabari Smith is 10% owned on DraftKings. Tari Eason is 10% owned on DraftKings. And everybody else is sub 5%, basically. There's not much here, but they're all perfectly reasonable filler. Drew Holiday, Kamara, Sharp, Durant, Şengün, Jeremy Grant, Donovan Clingan, Denny Avdia. I don't have a problem with the single name that I listed, but not a single one of them is a priority to me today. Shepherd is probably the guy. I think we lose him as the day goes on, and we just kind of sit back, relax, and watch this game because it's the most interesting game today, basketball-wise. DFS-wise, not so much. Drew Holiday is slightly more popular on the FanDuel end. Point guard, 6,900. Nice. 22% owned, 21% optimal. And then it kind of just falls off with the same sort of filler options that we had before. I just don't want to prioritize this game on the DFS end. It's not that kind of game for me. If it ends up being that kind of game, I'm not going to win any money today. Before we go any further, I just want to say hit the like button if you haven't done it yet. And if you have the opportunity and you want to sign up at Stokastic and see more about these stats, our simulators, everything we have behind the paywall, there's a link in the description of the video. You can sign up through one of our affiliates, either a sportsbook or a pick'em site. Follow the instructions on the page, you get a month of the sims for free. And if you sign up for a couple of those offers and send those in to us, you get a month for each of them, and you won't pay us a dime. So make it easy on yourselves. Click the link in the description to sign up. Okay, this one matters. Charlotte Hornets at the Milwaukee Bucks. They are 10-point dogs, the Hornets, that is. But there's a big piece of news here. Ryan Kalkbrenner, not gonna be here with the Hornets. His wife, girlfriend, significant other, don't really know for sure. But whoever that person is had a baby, which is allegedly his, so he is not going to be with the team today. And that is going to result likely in a Moussa Diabate start. He is 4,258% owned right now. One of the clear-cut cash game options. One of the first names you're clicking. Hard to get away from. Now, bad spot because Giannis is on the other side, and he's good. And, you know, draws some fouls from time to time. So keep your eye on Moussa Diabate. There's also the disaster scenario of a flat 3K Mason Plumlee having to soak up enough time to matter. But it's going to be Diabate, clearly. And then it's also pretty clearly Giannis Antetokounmpo. $11,700, 37% owned, 37% optimal. It's the NBA Cup. All the Bucks do are win these games. Giannis is exceptional in them. And he gets to face the Hornets. And the Hornets are terrible. Absolutely terrible. So Giannis will do whatever he wants, and you hope it's one of those days where he goes for like 40, 20, and 10. A little bit of value on Cole Anthony or Ryan Rollins seems fine, but one key piece here that we're not going to talk about. LaMelo Ball is back for this one, so most of the rest of the Hornets don't look so good, and he's projected for 1% ownership at 9,800. He don't look so good either. Completely different story on FanDuel. Giannis, same story. 25% owned. He's 12,300. You just play Giannis because he's Giannis. Moussa Diabate is a $5,300 center-only option, just 7% owned. So Diabate on FanDuel is like cash game lock, one of the biggest owned dudes on the slate. Diabate on FanDuel, mostly uninteresting, playable, but not even anything close to a priority. The other guy you actually want on the FanDuel side is Ryan Rollins. This next one's subject to change. Sacramento Kings are 12.5-point dogs in Minnesota. There's a Q tag on Domantas Sabonis there, and obviously Keegan Murray's still out. But if Sabonis ends up out, that really moves some things around here for Sacramento. Might create a little bit of value. Right now, the 6 most owned guys in this game are all from Minnesota, and those guys aren't even owned that much to begin with. You are not rostering Sacramento Kings today if Domantas Sabonis plays. Remember that. 15% ownership to Ant. If I got to tell you guys to play Anthony Edwards against the Kings, you need way more help than this video because it's Anthony Edwards against the Kings. Play him if you're interested. Everybody else is sub 10%. I'm happy to fill out with Randall, McDaniels, Gobert. Less interested in like Naz Reid. DiVincenzo's fine. My focus would be the real guys here. Ant, Randall, McDaniels. And if Sabonis is out, this could be a disproportionate rebounding day for Rudy Gobert. FanDuel side's even less appealing here. Ant, not as owned. His price is $9,500 here. So you really aren't going to be looking to this game all that much unless we lose Sabonis and create that value. Right now, I find FanDuel to be very uninteresting when it comes to Kings and Wolves. This one's kind of interesting, but for not good reasons. Lakers at the Pels, 10-point favorites. The Lakers are in this one, but ownership, a little bit heavier on the Pelicans side. 25% to Jeremiah Fears, 25% to Derek Queen, and 20% to Sadiq Bey. Now that's negative leverage on Bey, positive on Queen, positive on Fears. I think these should all be a little bit closer in the same direction. So like Fears and Queen, a little bit less optimal. Bey, a little bit more optimal. Makes sense. I think they should just be getting a bunch of ownership. They've been playing these guys pretty solid minutes as of late. Queen off the bench. Fears and Bey out of the starting lineup. 3 very reasonable price tags. A Lakers team who leans way more towards the offense side than the defense side. So there's something here about getting to the Pelicans, especially at home. But the guy I want to get the most in this game is Austin Reeves. He's 8K, point guard, shooting guard eligible, 20% owned. I think he's a little underrepresented today, and I think he's going to find himself in what is a pretty damn good matchup because, well, he's really good. And he might just be one of the 10 best offensive players in basketball right now. And right now at 8K, I'm fine with that. Now, if I want to get to Luka, it's hard. I'm going to feel great about it because the Pelicans are absolutely dreadful. But it's a lot easier to get to Giannis. And it's a lot easier to get to someone like Karl Anthony Towns today. But if you feel like Luka is going to give the Pelicans the business, I don't want to tell you anything different. There's not much here else otherwise. I want this high 4K pack of Pelicans, and I want Austin Reeves. That value doesn't exist on FanDuel. Queen, 10% owned. Bay, 10% owned. Jeremiah Fears, 3. So if you're playing on FanDuel, you can feel pretty comfortable in staying away from this garbage Pelicans team. DraftKings, not so much. If you're playing on FanDuel, you could also get to a bit of my guy, Austin Reeves. Guard forward eligibility. So you get shooting guard, small forward, 8,300. He's also 18% owned here. Luka at 12.6. Not all that owned. Much like I said before, it's just a lot easier to get to someone like Giannis or Karl Anthony Towns. The final game of the DraftKings slate has a real wrench thrown into it because we have Q tags galore. Anthony Davis, questionable. PJ Washington, questionable. Derek Lively, questionable. The Clippers and the Mavs aren't that good on offense. They're much better on defense. The Mavs offense is legitimately dreadful, but we don't know how to do anything with those guys because we don't know who's going to play. Like if PJ Washington, AD, and Lively all sit, well, then Daniel Gafford's going to look pretty damn good. And Najee Marshall's going to look pretty damn good. And we're going to start freeing up some additional minutes. Right now, I don't think they look that great. I probably only want to play Brandon Williams if I want to do anything from Dallas. I think Ivica Zubac is an interesting play if everybody from Dallas is in at 7,100. And if we lose like AD and Lively, I think Ivica Zubac looks even better. Not to mention, I'm very happy to have a bit of extra exposure to this game because I can get off of it through late swaps before it. John Collins moved into the starting lineup. He's getting a little bit of love. James Harden's getting a little bit of love. 9,600 probably feels a little high, but there's no Kawhi Leonard around in this one, and that's a 41% boom score. Minimal ownership. Kind of a sneaky GPP play. On FanDuel, you get a lot more love for Harden. 28% owned, just 9K. Collins more popular. Brandon Williams more interesting. Those guys are both sitting at 25. All of that checks out, at least based on our data. And then it falls off again. Zubac's not as interesting, just one center. Chris Dunn, kind of interesting at 4K, especially with no Kawhi around, no Bradley Beal now for the rest of the year. But I think the real focus for this game, barring the injury news, is Harden, Collins, Brandon Williams. But what Dallas ends up doing with their injury status will really impact where we have some value. Now, the Warriors-Spurs game is not on the DraftKings slate. They dropped it, but it does exist on FanDuel. 9:30 tip, 2.5-point line for the Spurs, and we just saw this game 2 days ago. And if you're playing on FanDuel, you mostly don't need to care about it. Filters are setting me up here, so it's also showing San Antonio. Still doesn't matter. It's also showing Sacramento. My apologies. It doesn't matter. The highest owned guy on FanDuel in this game is Steph Curry at 6%. There's not much going on here. Kuminga is questionable for this one. San Antonio's the normal team, just no Dylan Harper. It's not all that interesting. You want to play Steph, you want to play Wemby. I will not talk you out of those two things, but nothing in this final game is a priority on FanDuel. I hope I set the table for you guys pretty well. 8 games on DraftKings, 9 on FanDuel. Like this video and check us out on the Deeper Dive and Live Before Lock later tonight. And if you're interested in anything related to the Stokastic, check out the description of the video. Countless links for whatever you need.